PlayStation is lacking in original IP, says Sony. Right as Concord head towards an early grave, Sony CFO Hiroki Todoroki has claimed PlayStation doesn't have enough original IP. Todoroki claimed in a recent interview that the company is currently lacking in IP that are built from scratch, whether it be for games, films, or anime. These comments will probably come as a dagger to the hearts of PlayStation fans, especially ones that still hold a candle for the likes of Jack and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Gravity Rush, and more. Just like pretty much every platform holder, PlayStation is sat on a huge pile of franchises that have been left dormant for years, even decades in some instances. Every one of you reading this article probably has a beloved series you wish would make a comeback, but Sony has looked at his vault full of titles and has come to the conclusion that it simply doesn't have enough original IP. These rather bizarre comments come from the new Sony CFO, Hiroki Todoroki, in a recent interview with the Finance Times, thanks PlayStation Lifestyle, in which he claims the company is currently lacking in original IP that it fostered from the beginning. Whether it's for games, films, or anime, we don't have that much IP that we fostered from the beginning. We're lacking the early phase of IP, and that's an issue for us. Todoroki goes on to explain that he thinks the company has done well getting the existing popular IP to the new audiences, possibly referring to PlayStation's big push into the PC market. But that Sony and PlayStation won't grow if it doesn't start creating original IP from scratch. Right as Conquer dies, Sony says PlayStation doesn't have enough original IP. Todoroki's comments come at a rather bizarre time, right after PlayStation announced that Conquered, one of his new IPs that it clearly had high hopes for, is being shut down less than 2 weeks after launch. We're also just days away from the release of Astrobot, a game that is considered a celebration of PlayStation's rich history and the game's characters that have played a large role in the platform's rise. Dragon Daster, Sly Cooper, Private the Rapper, Bloodborne, Gravity Rush, and countless other franchises will all no doubt make cameo appearances, but they're all games that many feel PlayStation has abandoned for no good reason. Make you feel like more of a graveyard of ideas at times, and there's nothing really stopping PlayStation from reviving these franchises if it feels it doesn't have enough original IP in rotation. Instead, PlayStation seems to be all aboard the live service train, with plans to release 12 in the near future. We already have titles like Fair Games and Marathon on the way, so who knows how those will perform given the spectacular failure of Conquered. Hopefully, Astrobot launches and is a smash hit, and the company can make somewhat of a course correction before it embarrasses itself even further. So I just want to say right now that this person, whom I know absolutely nothing about, is a fucking idiot, and everything he thinks it says is a fucking idiot because there are plenty of PlayStation IPs that haven't had a game in a decade or years that need one, or at the barest minimum, a remaster of some sort, a collection, something. So, on the top of my head, the franchises that I can immediately think about are Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Little Big Planet, and of course you got Uncharted, you got Horizon, you got The Last of Us, God of War, all of those. Even, classics like Parappa the Rapper or Loco Roco. And I'm pretty sure Astrobot is going to fit in that category just fine. So, where does this motherfucker get off at saying that we don't have any IPs to spare or that we're lacking IPs when we're literally talking about IPs that should have had a game, that should have had their own cartoon, that should have had their own movie, in this day and age, and they're just not getting any of it. Let me put Sly Cooper into the stand real quick, because this IP, though some might say that it was mismanaged in Thieves in Time, I would argue that that would have gotten some traction, because all that artwork that was being put out for the Cooper ancestry was going to be used for the next title anyway, especially after Bentley said he was going to build a time machine. But somebody at Sandsburg was so eager to make a new Sly Cooper game, we ended up getting the controversial game Thieves in Time. So a lot of people are saying, okay, well, that just makes a Sly 4, an actual Sly 4, a possibility. So, that could be on the table, and maybe we can get that Dark Sly. And I don't know if they want to maintain any story elements from Thieves in Time, or just make a Sly 5 after Thieves in Time, or, just rewrite it, re-release it in some fashion. So it could either, rewrite Thieves in Time and just give it a kind of name, or just make Sly 4 and maintain the time travel aspect, but just make it more, I would say, purposeful, or just jump straight to Sly 5. I would honestly be on board with anything that can help the Sly Cooper brand become better and stronger than what it is now. So from my standpoint, I would like to see another go at the Sly Cooper collection, but just clean it up, the whole thing. That's not me saying that these games are bad, but exactly what I'm seeing with, say, like Naughty Dog, how they're treating The Last of Us, you might want to do that with Sly and possibly just do the same thing there. Okay, you maintain the PS2 look, but you give it the fresh coat of paint and some improvements to make the game more enjoyable. Bonus points for Sly 3, because I actually miss killing treasures in that game. So you get that, and you also have the movie, which didn't get put out. Quite possibly what happened after the Ratchet & Clank movie bombed in the movie theater. That being a reboot and all, which honestly didn't need to happen at all. Then you have the cartoon, which was going to be like a episodic 52 episode cartoon. Each one was going to be like 11 minutes long. So, kind of no different than, say, and, fuck me in my own ass, the Sonic Boom cartoon. Yeah, that immediately comes to my mind. Ugh. Anyway, the cartoon was going to be a thing back in, I want to say, 2019. Didn't happen. So anything to get Sly Cooper off the ground immediately shot down. The movie didn't happen. The cartoon didn't happen. And I'm pretty sure all that artwork, including Dark Sly, is just going to go to waste. And then we're just left with 4 Sly games. That's pretty much it. And it will just be on a cliffhanger after Thieves in Time. Jak and Daxter, I would say, is suffering a much worse fate than Sly. Jak is just not getting anything. The only thing that franchise is getting are just shitty little Easter eggs in Last of Us. Whether it be Abby looking for a precursor orb, or the Jak 3 board games in the toy store in Last of Us, or my personal favorite, the Rift Apart Easter eggs. So, Naughty Dog has completely devoted the entire staff to The Last of Us. Okay, you get The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. You get The Last of Us TV show, both seasons 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure at the time this is being under production. The Last of Us Part 2 online multiplayer that was shot down, and then whatever Part 3 is, and their new IP that they're working on, theorized to be Savage Starlight, the comic book that Ellie reads, or just something completely new. Either way, it's not Jak and Daxter, and that's what's kind of upsetting about this. And there were some rumors going around of a Jak and Daxter movie. So any or all opportunities for Jak and Daxter to make a comeback, the one thing it gets is just re-releases of PSP games. When I can literally just play those PSP games with an HD texture pack online. So no, it's not really that impressive. For Ratchet, things are somewhat kind of smooth sailing. I do wish that the PS2 games got the Rift Apart treatment, and maybe throw in like a Master Chief Collection treatment as well, where you can swap back between new and old graphics. Like Master Chief Collection is the only game that has that feature. Like that is such a cool feature, and it's kind of a letdown that they don't really like use it. I mean, maybe you can screw around with the physics of the original with the new ones, but for me personally, I just like the idea of going through new and old graphics in the same game. So yeah, I mean, Master Chief Collection is the only thing that comes to mind, but I think Ratchet can benefit from that. From like the first two PS2 games, and then probably the PSP ones. That's one collection on that front. Then you get the future games, which were never properly re-released. Tools of Destruction, Quest for Booty, Trek in Time, and Into the Nexus. All right, that's a collection right there. If you want to do all for one or full frontal assault, you can. I have nothing against that at all. But it's just a shame that for people that want to play the PS3 Ratchet games, they have to resort to PlayStation Plus instead of just actual ports. Like, that's the only way to play these. You have to rely on some subscription, which honestly, on a personal point, I just don't like at all. Like, I am not a fan of subscriptions, and PS Plus is one of them. Little Big Planet. Still didn't get a trilogy. The new game, Sackboy Big Adventure, I haven't played it yet. Waiting for a price drop, but I see some good things about it. But the original Little Big Planet series, still no trilogy of 1, 2, and 3. Not even the kart racing game or the Endless Runner one. So yeah, that's not really getting anything. So literally what I'm seeing from PlayStation right now are whatever third party stuff is happening, whether it be Metal Gear or Silent Hill or the sports games like MLB or the NBA or God forbid Madden. Games are being re-released on PlayStation 5 and they're just going to market for the same price again. That's something that I am absolutely tired of, because it should be as simple as putting in the old game and just getting the new features like the new visuals and whatnot via free update. But instead they just want to re-release the same games again and just charge you like even higher prices than you usually pay for. So that $60 game that you paid on the last gen console, that's $70 this time. And yeah, it is an opportunity for the game to be on the new hardware, but again, it's the same game, just made better. Hardly any bonus features, hardly anything. It's literally the same ass game that you've already played. That's just charged way more than it needs to be. And that I'm seeing that with Until Dawn. I'm seeing that with Yuka Replay E. Is that the name of it? I don't know why they're doing that. The visuals should just be a free update to me. Like, it's the same problem that I have with Super Lucky's Tale, new Super Lucky's Tale, where they're making all these updates, but it's a separate game. These are not updates. These are a separate game all on its own, and I am so pissed off about that. Like, that's very upsetting to me. So they have this long ass list of IPs that they could be using right now, and they outside of that, they want to devote all that time to a multiplayer game that people didn't want. Like, people rather have a single player experience rather than some multiplayer live service crap. Like, people already got their fix already with the likes of Black Ops 6. Like, I think Black Ops 2 is going to kill it. That's not to say that every single player experience is going to be smooth sailing. At least we're going to put games like Star Wars Outlaws on the table, because I've been hearing not so great things about that. People have been enjoying Black Myth Wukong for the most part. Like, it's just, I don't know. PlayStation is just completely out of touch here. Okay, again, you have Ratchet and Clank, you have Sly Cooper, you have Jack and Daxter, you have Little Big Planet, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, all of these IPs that have existed ever since the dawn of PlayStation. So how can they just sit there and say that they're lacking original IPs when you have IPs under your belt that hasn't had a new game in a decade? The last Sly Cooper game was Thieves in Time, 2013. The last Jack game that was made by Naughty Dog themselves was a racing game, Jackass Combat Racing. Everything after that was made by some other people. Ready at Dawn made Daxter, High Impact Games made Lost Frontier, and a lot of people said their woes about Lost Frontier. All right, the last Ratchet game, Rift Apart, which I believe was 2021, was a pretty solid title for the most part. I have minor gripes with that, but it is not a deal breaker by any means. I wish the other side games would follow suit and just be something like Rift Apart. Just look and play better, especially like the first like two games where you can actually feel that in the first game it could have used a lot of improvements, which you see later down the line in the series. So I would say, yeah, you just make the old games like Rift Apart, but you still maintain everything about the originals. Like, how many people would love to see another multiplayer Ratchet game like Up Your Arsenal or Deadlock? Like, Ratchet hasn't been an online, hasn't had an online mode in what feels like forever. Like, I don't know if All for One or Full Frontal Assault. Like, Full Frontal Assault, I should say, should be online if it isn't. Then you have Sly Cooper, which again only has 4 games, no movie, no cartoon, nothing. Jack and Daxter, same thing, just Easter eggs, nothing. Little Big Planet, there's no mention of that. Crash, there was going to be a 5th Crash game on the rise, one where he would team with Spyro. That's gone. Spyro himself, you would think that he would get a new game after Reignited trilogy, but who's going to pick up that slack? So what I'm seeing right now, if it's not these stupid multiplayer games, is something like either Horizon or God of War or The Last of Us. Just straight up, just these blockbuster movie-looking adventure games, and nothing cartoony like Ratchet, Sly, Jack, Little Big Planet, Crash, Spyro. Plenty of other IPs that I'm pretty sure I haven't mentioned that a lot of people grew up with that people are complaining about, rightfully so. I hate it when people are so out of touch and so delusional who think that they just don't have a lot to present to the table, especially when it comes to film or animation. Okay, because are they even looking at what people enjoy? Okay, a lot of people were looking forward to Astrobot from that State of Play. That State of Play from May, like the one that was supposed to, be that showcase for E3 if E3 was still alive. That State of Play was awful. And normally, I don't watch State of Plays, obviously. I didn't see this one, so when I went to see what it is they showcased, I was completely astonished at how fucking lacking it was. Like, they showed Conquer for like 10 minutes, and then they showed Silent Hill 2, and then they showed some of the games I can't list on my head because honestly, those games to me are just so fucking forgettable. The only game that stood out was Astrobot. That's what I'm talking about. Astrobot is so fucking colorful and just pops out. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is Astrobot. And now they want to bitch about how games like Concord are just doing it. Like, who the fuck wanted Concord? Seriously, like, how many people have been bitching about like Jack and Daxter or Sly Cooper or any other IP that has nothing to do with any of this live service first person shooter, this over the shoulder bullshit? Like, how many people actually want games like God of War and Horizon and Last of Us to continue? Not that I'm saying that those games are particularly just awful, but like, how many more games like that are we gonna get where we have like these realistic looking environments with these realistic looking people? And seen Horizon. I don't really hate the art style in that. Not even God of War, not for Last of Us, but that's mostly what they've been putting out. Nothing like Crash, nothing like Spyro, nothing like Jack, Sly, Ratchet, Little Big Planet, Ape Escape. Like, no, like, none of that. Not even Parappa the Rapper. No, none of that. None of that. Like, at this point, they might as well just, go the Nintendo approach here. Okay, they have Mario, they have Zelda, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Pokemon, Star Fox, F-Zero, Kid Icarus. Those three, the last three I just mentioned, those need to come back so desperately. And I don't really have a problem with games like Black Myth Wukong or, probably some other game that I can't list off the top of my head. But they are so out of touch and they are so just morally incorrect if they honestly believe that they don't have much IPs to experiment with that could warrant it a dust off. Like Jack 4 was going to happen. That didn't happen. Okay, there was going to be a new Crash game. That didn't happen. Like, get these old franchises off the ground with something that can work for them that will warrant a new title. Okay, because it could be no different than a Call of Duty situation where, or just Madden, where you release it and then it's like the same ass game. There's no differentiation qualities, just separated from the others, and it's just people are like, okay, yeah, it's a game, nothing mind blowing, nothing exciting, but it's a game nonetheless. Like, no. Okay, these games need to stand out from all the others. And unfortunately, that's honestly not what I'm seeing here. I'm just seeing a whole bunch of IPs that I just cannot get excited about. Like, personally, I can't get excited for Concord. I don't know what that is. Nor do I care. Can't get excited for Silent Hill because I'm not really a Silent Hill guy. I've seen footage of it. It looks, honestly, crazy woman has a competition with that. Like, no. When it comes to PlayStation, and, PlayStation internally, nothing third party, but, I guess they're going third party anyways because of all the studios they have, or they keep shutting down, which is another problem. Okay, like Crash, Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, Clyde Cooper, Jack and Daxter, Little Big Planet. All of that would have been so nice to see on PlayStation 5. Jack and Sly especially. Not as re-releases of PS2 games, no. Like, again, just give it the Last of Us treatment because Naughty Dog doesn't care about Jack and Daxter. They instead want to just bombard people with all this Last of Us shit. Okay, Last of Us Part 2, narrative-wise, was fucking dumb. Gameplay-wise, it was an improvement. It's a shame that the story sucks. And it's also a shame that it doesn't have any multiplayer because I can actually imagine traversing through all those maps that I'm seeing in Part 2 in a multiplayer experience, and I can't do that. So, that's a bummer. Like, Last of Us Part 2 is honestly quite possibly the most disappointing game that Naughty Dog has ever produced. And, that's continuing. Like, we don't need Last of Us re-released for the fourth fucking time. Okay, I am perfectly fine with remastered, especially when Last of Us, the original PS3 game, or PS3 games in general, just didn't work on PS4 due to a different architect. So it's like, okay, what do we do? How are we going to get these games on PS4? Okay, just PlayStation Now. Make a subscription service, which, I already hate. No, let's just re-release them. The Last of Us, Uncharted, all these games. But, the other PlayStation 3 games, no, PlayStation Now, PlayStation Plus, which I already hate. So, no, not dropping any more money than I already have. Okay, especially on PlayStation 5, a $500 console where I have to spend $70 for either a game or a controller, in this case, both, and $200 just for expandable memory. Okay, that's nearly, if not exactly, $1,100 out of my pocket just trying to get these games out. Okay, because I waited for the console to get a price drop. I hated the fact that it was $500, but I was getting so close to Rift Apart back when I did the anniversary celebration for when Ratchet was turning 20. That was like, okay, well, got this sweet ass overnight job back in the day, so no, let's just fucking do this. got my PlayStation 5, got the black plates, got the black DualSense controller. Got Rift apart for $50. Got the SSD. Let's just bring this whole thing together and let's just do this thing. So yeah, shame that it's $500. And honestly, it's just even more of a shame that with all of that, these IPs didn't come back to take advantage of this new console. None of them did. But instead, we get new ones, which honestly aren't really that bad. Okay, Horizon and God of War, and I had hopes for part two until the leaks came out, and then the game came out, and I just said no. Like, no, I can't go down this path. So, Last of Us Part 2 just did not do it for me, narrative-wise. And it really sucks when I had to make that decision because that's the whole point of Last of Us. It is a narrative, single-player story, and it sucks that Part 2 has the story that it has. Sucks to say it, but that's the truth. So, yeah, old IPs, they need the biggest dust off imaginable. And they have plenty of IPs already that it actually warrants them another, and I'm going to say this, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. They can totally do that, and it just works so well, okay? All of these franchises that I've been seeing, again, broken record, but this is the truth. You have Ratchet and Clank, you have Sly Cooper, you have Jak and Daxter, you have Crash Bandicoot, you have Spyro the Dragon, you have Little Big Planet, you have God of War, you have Uncharted, you have The Last of Us, you have Horizon. All these franchises right now, which would be perfect for another All-Stars Battle Royale. Okay, like another PlayStation Smash Bros. Like, Smash Bros is already a fan favorite, so PlayStation could definitely do something like that. Okay, and you know what? Get some third-party support here too. If Smash can do it, Battle Royale can do it. All right, get Cloud Strife in the game. Okay, get Sora from the game. Maybe get that big-ass drill dude from BioShock again. Maybe get some, as much as I hate it, Resident Evil. Maybe want to play as the Nemesis. Maybe I want to play as, I don't know, Leon in this type of game. Like, again, so many opportunities, and they're not even thinking about it, and they're being dashed over and over and fucking over again. Okay, and we're not getting any of that. They're not thinking about it. They don't want to do that. Instead, they want to devote their time to IPs that people don't fucking want. And then they wonder why the business is failing. It's like, the only reason the business is failing is because of your ineptitude to even listen to people. Again, when the fuck was the last time Jak had a new game? People are still wondering where Jak 4 is. People are wondering where Jak 5 is. People are wondering, when the next game like these old IPs are going to make a comeback or just going to make a breakthrough. And then here goes Astrobot with this shiny, colorful new entry, and people fucking love it. I already have the game on the wish list right now. So, yeah, can't wait for when it gets a price drop and I can, take a crack at it myself. But for the love of God, seriously, for the love of Jesus Christ, this is what happens when people don't explore all their options and they don't bring back something that people like that obviously can sell well. Those IPs I just mentioned, they can sell. They've proven that they can, okay? PlayStation can literally make a breakthrough with almost any IP that they can dish out. Okay, you're guaranteed 1 million units sold no matter how crappy it is, like Last of Us Part 2. Okay, it's gonna happen. Okay, they're gonna appear at the Game Awards, get these nominees, get these trophies. It's happened before. What in the hell makes this fucking idiot think that this is any different? People hate Concord. I can't say exactly why, but no, people hate this. They don't want this. They want the old PlayStation IPs that they grew up with, that they want to see on the PlayStation 5, but now they can't see that. So what's going to happen? Release the PlayStation 6, and then we can see these IPs back when they should have had them, like, maybe a year or two after the PlayStation 5 came out. Like, again, Rift Apart made a comeback. Ratchet is doing well. shit, the rest of the IPs are MIA. And here they are saying this bullshit like we don't have a big ass catalog to play with. That's like looking into a toy box and then you're like, nothing here. Like, shit, what did you do? Outgrow them already? Producing the fucking Easter eggs? Like, this key jingling bullshit, it needs to end. Okay? People have suffered long enough. It's time to bring these franchises back. There is absolutely no excuse for them not to. No excuse, period, whatsoever. If fucking Insomniac can make homages to Jack and Sly and Horizon and Rift Apart, why can't these devs even put in the effort to bring these back and do them justice? Okay, just treat these like a fucking child. Make sure that it grows strong and kind, with compassion and sanity. Not this stupid, what people are saying, this woke shit, like Concord or Last of Us Part 2. No, none of that. None of that. I'm so fucking tired of franchises being fucked over all the time. Okay, and if that's the reason they're not coming back, then clearly it's time for a change of pace. Whatever mindset they have for these fucking games, they need to quit it, because that's how you end up with shit like all these bad games that I'm seeing right now. Never mind TV shows that are going right now that people are just flat out fucking hating, whether it be on Hulu or Amazon or Disney Plus or Paramount. No, like, fuck all that. Fuck that mindset. Okay? They have the catalog. They have their IPs. They just got to figure out how to bring them back and do them justice. Because when games come out and they're a disservice and that people are looking forward to, not only is that the biggest disappointment, but that's just going to lose faith in PlayStation overall. Okay? We want to see these games done right and done well. We don't want shit like Conquered, a game that nobody wanted. A game that I personally just don't give a shit about. I never cared. So I can't devote my time to something that I just know that I'm not going to give a shit about. So with all this in mind, they're just talking out of their ass with this article. You know, saying statements like, we don't have much IP that we fostered from the beginning. Like, you had Crash and Spyro from PlayStation 1. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, God of War on PlayStation 2. You had Little Big Planet, Uncharted, The Last of Us on PlayStation 3. Horizon is what immediately comes to mind on PlayStation 4. PlayStation 5 rolls around. What new IP can you list on top of your head that left a positive impact on you? I can't think of one. The first game I bought was Rift Apart. What, Forspoken's on the list? Like, I don't know how that's possible. So, no, like, I don't know, man. But for me personally, it's time to go back to basics. It's time to bring back the old and give it a new light. Because at this point, if this is the kind of shit they're willing to dish out, PlayStation can forget about making new hardware. In fact, you know, people have been wondering, when are we going to get another console like a Vita? Instead, what do you get? A PlayStation controller stretched out that has a screen in it that looks like you can jam your phone inside of it, that requires Bluetooth but doesn't have it. Am I hearing that right? Like a downgraded Wii U gamepad is what people are calling it. So yeah, no, this is just disappointing, mind-bogglingly dumb. Like, this is stupid. These people are stupid, whoever's thinking this shit up. You got your resources, man. You're just not fucking putting them to good use. Not really giving them the potential they need to be great. Not really giving them that fucking dust off that they desperately need. You know, and I'm looking at studios like Sucker Punch with Ghost of Tsushima that honestly are doing well. And I hope they continue to, for one, you know, bring back Infamous and Slide that people wanted, but also, you know, continue their own endeavors, because that's always important too. The reason why I'm just bringing up old franchises is because, again, the dust off. They need that dust off. When a franchise goes over 10 years without a fucking new entry, that to me is enough for a dust off. Trying to bring it back, make something that it can work with, that can differentiate from the others. Make it a solid title. Okay. If Nintendo can make all the Marios and all the Zeldas, Kirby's, and Pokemon, be it to as may, with all these new ideas that can work, that can be successful, then there's no excuse for these other ones. No excuse. There is no excuse. And what I'm presenting here is an excuse. Old IPs can get the new treatment if done right, if done well, and done with justice. If not, then I can assure you this, there's going to be hell to pay. The one thing that you don't do is fuck with beloved IPs. You raise them, you care for them, you make them well. Because when you fuck up, I can tell you this, you motherfuckers better be ready for war.